Yesterday, Dafuk Boom published the 24th season of Skibidi Toilet, which consisted, as always, of 3 episodes. It is also written in the description under the video. There usually Dafuk writes the same thing when he publishes the season and does not leave any hidden messages, as in the usual episodes. In terms of length, season 24 is the longest. It was more than 25 minutes, and if you compare with other seasons, you can clearly see that already Dafuk is trying to series 2 or even 3 times more. Well, the most interesting thing is that now in the seasons, Dafuk is inserting additional scenes. This time we have new scenes for a whole 1 minute, and it's very cool because before there were full episodes with this length, but now it's just extra scenes. And this is another proof that Dafuk is taking his series seriously. And today we're going to try to break these new scenes down to the smallest detail. There's a lot of interesting things that need to be talked about and scanned in detail. And so, the first extra scene starts with some hospital with fragments of the lab. This scene starts at the end of episode 72, which means that Dafuk wants to tell us that these events were before episode 73. But whoever watched the extra scene in episode 70 remembers this area. I mean, it looks exactly like this hospital where we first saw the new agent detective. There were a lot of wounded agents, and they were all looking at the TV where there was a recording on behalf of Plungerman. And unfortunately, when Plungerman died, the recording was turned off and all the agents did press F to pay respects. That is, give Plungerman a like. By the way, you can also give a like to this video, but as we could see, Detective Cameraman didn't like Van Tuzman. No, not because he is a hater and gives dislikes to everyone, but because he was looking for something. But here he was looking at the TV screen and watching Plungerman, as well as all agents. Well, and maybe even he put a like. Just because of the monitor we could not see. So it turns out that the detective has been investigating something for a long time. It turns out that he already had some suspicions before that moment. I think in future episodes we will see more additional scenes on behalf of the detective, but already in the past tense. Let us return to the new scenes. 2 cameramen appear before us. One a scientist, the other an engineer. And this is almost exactly the same engineer that was in episode 73. We have a first-person view of the cameraman in red. As we can see, the cameraman was brought here to be fixed. Because as we remember in the second part of episode 70, when the plunger man, the black speaker, and the cameraman in red invaded the base of the toilets where the trophies were stored, they were met there by a quiet Skibidi Toilet, whose mouth is always closed, so that he could quietly and without witnesses destroy his targets. And as we remember then, Cameraman in red received a non-critical damage to his left arm from this toilet. Please remember this moment. You will soon see how much Dafuk does detailed episodes. Since the cameraman in red was injured on his left arm, even after 4 episodes given this fact, Dafuk Boom paid attention to this fact and made an animation of fixing his left arm in the extra scene of season 24. I'm just shocked at how Dafuk Boom memorizes all this and leaves such details that only a few people notice. Then, when the cameraman is discharged from the hospital, he likes these agents, but they don't give him a reciprocal like. They just nod their heads, and that's weird, because cameramen are supposed to give each other likes. What if? No. Okay, forget it. Next, the cameraman in red wants to leave this hospital, and when the doors open, the very same detective from the extra scene in episode 70 stands in his way. He's not alone. He's got 2 other agents with him who are armed. As we can see, the detective has a warrant for the arrest of the cameraman in red, and after the detective epically adjusts his cylinder, he gives the order to arrest the cameraman in red. He is then handcuffed in what looks like a very unusual way. He is then approached by the detective, who then gives the order to direct him to the left side. Here we can see in more detail what the detective cameraman looks like. He has a leather light brown coat, and from inside a vest, as well as he has a black Stetson hat on his head. Of course, all the agents are surprised by the arrest of the cameraman in red. It can be seen by his actions. After all this, we see that the arrested cameraman is furious, as we notice his hands shaking. After all, he really should be nervous, because he works for a secret agent, and in fact it is a traitor, and he still has a lot to tell the detective. Still, it seems to me that the secret agent already knows about this situation, and he is unlikely to leave it for nothing. And that's how the first extra scene in season 24 ends. The second new scene starts after the 73rd episode, namely from the 17th minute. And here we notice 5 agents at once. They are near the Alpha Hills Engineering Center. As we can see, they are on the Chile, and some are resting, and some are taking pictures. This toilet was obviously posing for this photographer. He was apparently distracted by another agent. Then, one of them notices something in the distance. And as it turns out, it's the wounded G-Man, who we last saw in episode 73. If you haven't seen the analysis, I recommend you to watch it. As we remember, G-Man then hinted to the TV Man Titans that they could still use him and that something was coming soon. But the Titans didn't want to listen to him and started attacking him. As we could see, this scene is the continuation of episode 73. After G-Man took his containers, he pushed TV Man and flew away from him. But then TV Man immediately teleported to him, and this is the continuation. After TV Man got ahead of G-Man and got in his way, he said to him, "You can't run forever." And after TV Man teleports his sword to G-Man, he says, "Give me just one chance." The TV Man, with a furious voice, says back to him, "After all you've done, you want a chance?" It should be emphasized that G-Man, even in this wounded state, is able to dodge blows. And here he even managed to activate his protective shield. But TV Man destroyed G-Man's shield with one blow. Also here you can see a small drone that helps TV Man, but these shots are too weak for G-Man. Next, the TV Man gives G-Man a final answer to his request. TV Man says he'll never give him a chance, but as the wise turtle Oogway says, never say never, because already in episode 74, the Titan TV Man is ordered to bring G-Man back to base alive. TV Man fails to finish off G-Man, and he goes into hiding, but the very same drone can be spotted behind him. Most likely this drone G-Man destroyed on the way, as there was no one behind him in episode 74, except for this toilet, which somehow appeared on G-Man's shoulder. And this is the second Skibidi scientist from the second part of episode 68. After G-Man escapes again, the TV Man calls him a coward and further teleports him to cameraman and spokesman Titan. And what happened next, you can watch on our channel. This is the end of all the extra scenes in season 24. As I said at the beginning of this video, it is very cool that Boom decided to do additional scenes in the seasons because they reveal new details for us. After all, up until season 22, nothing interesting happened in the seasons except connecting the episodes to each other. Agree, we learned a lot from these two scenes, which were no more than 1 minute long. I'm sure that in the future we will be expecting a continuation of the scene with the detective and the arrested cameraman. I would even like to see an episode that would be fully devoted to the interrogation of the cameraman in Red, as it was, for example, in the Distant 21 episode. After all, there the whole episode was really devoted to interrogation, but they interrogated the toilet. Well, and now on your screens appeared on my other analysis. I will be very happy to your assessment of these videos. Well, you were on the channel Razmeek, and with you was, as always, Razmeek. Thank you for your likes and subscribing to the channel. See you very soon in the next videos. Good luck and goodbye, everyone.